record button. All right, Jerome. All right, go ahead and do your little things that you have to do before you start us off.
Alright. Let's get this thing popping. Well, all right.
Disclaimer out the way, bro.
We ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's up? All right. What's up, Facebook family? It's the three-headed monster in full effect tonight. A normal off night, but we're back on because we missed Monday, Brian's favorite holiday. So we're going to come on and discuss it a little bit. As always, everything that we say is strictly our opinions, strictly our thoughts. Believe nothing that we say. Research it, investigate, find your truth, come back. Let's talk about it. Let's build. Okay, fellas, what's up, B?
Yo, what's good? What's good, man? Brother Brian, aka that Silverback. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's gonna be an interesting topic we're doing. It's gonna bring some truth. It might hurt some people's feelings. But at the same time, yesterday was Happy Indigenous Day. Uh, but we're gonna talk about this guy that's been worshipped for hundreds of years for no reason. But I mean, there's a reason behind it. But at the same time, we're gonna break it down. So, what's going on, Tut?
Peace. How everybody doing? King Tut representing South, you know what I'm saying? Speaking them fire letters, you know. We talked to the burning bush.
All right, so I tell you what, tell me about it. What is Christopher Columbus to you?
Ooh. I'm gonna keep all the name calling away. Christopher Columbus is basically the fall guy. I know everybody. I'm pretty sure some people have seen that movie, Fun with Dick and Jane. How they put Jim Carrey at the forefront to be the spokesman for the company's downturn, and Columbus was the opposite end of that. He was the spokesperson for the company's foundation, and they go around and about saying Christopher Columbus discovered America. And an interesting conversation I had the past day, what a lot of people don't take into consideration, like they know that Christopher Columbus, quote unquote, discovered America, but and he came from Spain. But what was a lot of people don't know what was Hispaniola and what was Spain going through before 1492, and that's the major question of why Christopher Columbus was established as the discoverer of the newfound land. And when you go back into Spain during that time, Islam ran the whole of the Eastern world from like 700 AD up into the 1492. And it was after the Spanish Inquisition that Europe started to dispel a lot of the Muslims and Jews, which allowed Christopher Columbus to get away from the quote unquote Sharia law and come to the newfound land.
Okay, Jerome, give me your point of view of Christopher Columbus.
Cristobal Colombo. I'm with Tut as far as he's not a major figure. He was made into a major figure. Just a quick United States, because the United States is the one that propped up the holiday of Columbus, or Columbus Day. And that was because if you look in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, when they were flooding the United States with a lot of immigrants, it just so happened that there were a lot of Italian immigrants that were coming in. And there were a lot of civil unrest, especially in New York. And so to kind of balance it out, and so that they could keep this immigration coming, they created this story. Actually, it was the guy that wrote The Headless Horseman, Washington Irving. He actually wrote a biography on Christopher Columbus, and actually gave some artistic license to the story. And so that integrated with the culture or the atmosphere of the nation at that time kind of kicked off the Christopher Columbus thing, because Italy didn't even want anything to do with Christopher Columbus at that time. You know, it was a good story for the United States, but they didn't really want to buy into it, because, you know, they knew the true history of him and what he represented. And we'll get into that a little later. But to me, you know, he was a minor figure made major.
And I agree. Like, you know, both point of views is he is a fall guy. I mean, the person that we need to be looking at is Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. But at the same time, we do need to understand what was going on before that.
That's a real big picture.
Because at the same time, like what Tut was talking about, he's talking about the Moorish movement that was conquered, and the last part of the Moorish movement in December, I think, 1491, it was Granada, was captured by, I guess, you know, that was their final stronghold, and they was pretty much exiled out of Spain and moved into northern Africa, which are, you know, we would say are the Muslim movement. But at the same time, we have to understand even before that what was really going on, because, you know, the doctrine of discovery is really the most important part of this whole Spanish Inquisition that a lot of people don't pay no attention to or just never heard of. And if you study this, you're gonna have to come to terms with some of the beliefs that you had in the past. You will have to come to terms to understanding that these crusades they happened for a reason, because you have to understand Europe couldn't get no bigger. Portugal and Spain are next door to each other, and they can't get no bigger. I mean, you still have France, and these are they never expanded no bigger than what they have for the last 1,000 years. So, but you also have a lot of crusades that's going on that a lot of people again still don't understand what was going on. So let's jump into it. And also another thing, and the doctrines that you need to grab is the Papal Bulls, the writings of that. That's PAPALBULL. Some strong documents there that's breaking down a lot of stuff that was going on, and a lot of Christopher Columbus writings and other writings of Europeans. So let's hold up. Do you know, Jerome, you know anything about the discovery of the doctrines of discovery?
I do.
Expand on that a little bit. Let's crack open that mind of yours.
We can get into it. First of all, the doctrine of discovery is not just one paper. It was several papal bulls that were written starting as early as 1453. 1453, and I may get these dates wrong, you know, just off the top of my head.
1451.
1451, 1470s, 1493, 1506. I mean 1506 and 1514. But the collection of them is what the doctrine of discovery is, and I had to give you the whole background of it so you could understand it. But this is where white supremacy actually started. But let me just stop right there, and as we unfold it, we'll be able to find it.
Yeah, jump in, Ted.
When we look into the colonization of Americas, when you first look into some of the governors and leadership in Mexico, however you want to pronounce it, you go to, I think his name's Cardozo. Cardozo was one of the first presidents in Mexico, and then you even had another black president, Cervantes president. But when you look at the colonization of Mexico, and you want to look at the history, like how did Mexico, become a nation and all of this, you can't get that in Mexico. When you go look for further information on the colonization, you're not going to find that information in Mexico. What you'll find in Mexico is some of the, Aztec, Mayans, some of their cultures. And if you want to find the colonization, you got to go all the way back to Spain. And you got to go back into the Inquisition, and you got to see how the colonizers were thinking that way, why they did such heinous crimes that way. They were trying to escape their religious persecution, and that religious persecution was established only to clean them up and teach them cleanliness and, get them civilized. So they didn't like that. They didn't like being ruled by that way of life. They wanted to get away, and that's what establishing these colonies basically did for them. You had the French, you had the Spanish, you had the British. All of them were fighting. You know what I mean? All of them were fighting. So, people take on the language of their conqueror. We stuck here. British was our conqueror. We speak in English. Mexico, their conqueror was their colonizer was the Spanish, or the Latin. They speak Spanish. So forth, so on. Even in Louisiana, the French fought for a while in Louisiana. That's why they speak French. You go down into Haiti and places like that. The French was running that. That's why they speak French. So linguistics, the study of linguistics, helps to give people a piece of how languages and lands and people all go together. But when you go into the history and you want to search Mexico's histories of their presidency, you got to go back to Spain.
All right, let me break this down. Let me go ahead and read you parts of the doctrine of discovery of 1452 by the Pope.
Was it Andrew?
No, Nicholas V. Invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all pagans whatsoever and other enemies of Christ whosoever place a kingdom, dukedom, principles, dominions, possessions, and all movable and immovable goods soever held to possess by them, to reduce their person to slavery. And apply the appropriate to themselves to the successor of the kingdoms, countries, principles, dominions, possessions, goods, to convert them to his and their use to profit. In other words, the church said it was okay for slavery. So this is where colonization starts. This is where, this is to all European churches. So it wasn't just, the Pope is over all of it. England. I mean, you got England, you have France, you have all of these European countries. So, in other words, branch out in any land that you find, and if they're not serving Christ, take it. It's yours. So, I know Jerome had that smirk on his face.
Yeah.
Jerome got that smirk on his face. Go ahead, Jerome. I know you want to go in.
Now, like I said, I got to take it back. So, if you look at Europe, or what we call Europe, 2,000 years ago, right? When you think that the Romans were, running pretty much everything, outside of the Etruscans, who was originally in the land of Italy. So the Roman Empire is spread out across Europe. Now, see, the misconception is when people say that when the Moors came, that they civilized Europe. It's true in a sense. So let me explain. And so Rome had spread its culture all the way out through Europe, or what they call their known world. Well, in about, I say, the year 400 to 500 AD, the Germanic tribes, these Vandals, these barbarians, came out of the northern part of Europe, and they utterly destroyed Rome. I mean, Rome was completely demolished. And so that civilization that was there was demolished. And so it was cast into what they call the Dark Ages, or this time where there was no what you call civilization, as far as learning, as far as culture, as far as art. So when the Moors did come in 711, what they did was reestablish culture. What they did was reestablish a history for Europe. Because think about it, in that 700-year period, there would be no way, if they were uncivilized, uncultured, unschooled, that they could take over and defeat the Moors who had come in 700.
Okay, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Culture, some remnants of thought, some remnants of intelligence. It was just being occupied and ruled by those what you call Moors. And so by the time, this is exactly what the Spanish Inquisition is about. It's not a transference of religion. It's not a transference of Christianity to the Islamic faith. Because when the Moors were ruling, they were Islamic, but they allowed everybody to practice their religion. Hence, that's why Christianity was so strong, and that's why they had the Vatican. That's why they had popes, and that's why they could write these bulls, and this is why they could write these documents prior to 1492, because you just said yourself 1452. So there's an underculture that's there, and that underculture is what started gaining strength. And so the Spanish Inquisitions was about, because you got to look at the wording of it. It says that you would make those lands white. So if you look at any Spanish, it's hard to find one that's pale, right? So when you say white, they're specifically talking about light and dark. And so it says that the doctrine is about conquering, bringing down, reducing the numbers of anybody that's dark, subjugating anybody that's dark. So this is domination of the world. And this is where it started. And it wasn't about religion. It was strictly about race, because they did not want to go under the subjugation of anybody darker than them. And so what Christopher Columbus done, because a lot of people are thinking, how in the world could Christopher Columbus be able to massacre, rape, pillage all these people and nothing happened? Because he was sent back with the Armada. So how could this happen? Because it was part of the doctrine of discovery. That was what he was supposed to do.
Like a get out of jail free card.
Right. No, he was sent to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's not a get out of jail, because that's your job. He was doing his job. Because on his ship, there were priests. Who do you think the priests were sent by? The Vatican. So, I mean, the story, I mean, whatever they spin it or however you learned it as a child, you don't understand that it's just a tool of white supremacy.
Dude, I hate that. Because at the same time, you say, oh, that's a bunch of bull. That ain't what I learned about Christopher.
Go research it.
Yeah, they go research, but at the same time, how can you discover a land that people already occupied?
They knew people were there. He was sent to those lands to take the land. He was sent, the envoy that first got there with the 3 ships had priests and his men. When the people were not hostile and they welcomed him, he went back to Spain and came back with the Armada.
He sailed in 1492, went back, sailed again at 1493.
Right.
Went back, sailed again at 1498. That's when he got in some trouble. But at the time, he has this document. He documented a lot of stuff that he did, which can prove to you. And then he sailed again at 1502. So he found Haiti.
Right.
He found the Virgin Islands.
He went to those places. He didn't find them.
My bad.
And the reason why he got in trouble because he tried to do his own thing. He tried to make his own money outside of what the king and queen had sanctioned him for.
Yeah, because he was working for 2 different countries at the time.
Right.
Because people have to understand on his first voyage, for some reason he had a problem with his ship and he ended up going to Portugal. Now this is where Portugal comes into play because the Portuguese kind of knew what he was doing.
Right.
He wanted a piece of this pie too. So now you got to split this pie that you double dipping because for one, you got to understand he had to have money to do this.
Exactly.
It was just something that you can just grab a sail and say, oh, I'm going to go here. He was trying to find a quicker route to get to Asia, but at the same time, he knew what he was doing. He knew where he was going because he had Moors as his navigators. They knew exactly where they was going. So when you pull up, here's
the thing. This is crazy to me. You know, people, you had been taught the story that he had got lost at sea on his way to India or whatever the story is. You know, they had globes at that time.
They was telling them not to. It's maps.
No, listen to me. They had globes of the earth. So how you tell me he didn't know?
He didn't get lost.
These lands were there. They had globes.
He didn't get lost.
1490.
Right.
It was already maps out.
Right.
There been maps out. You know, the Africans had mapped the world 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's even a chart showing you the flow of the current to navigate through the ocean.
Right.
You just can't just pull up and all of a sudden you're on that current. You have to know that current. You have to know the time frame of that current. And people are also understanding that West Africans was going back and forth. That was a trade route. I mean, if you read some of the books of Mansa Musa, his brother, they sent like 1,000 ships over there. You send 1,000 ships? So you ain't gonna send 1,000 ships unless you know where you're going.
Exactly.
You just ain't gonna get out there and say, you know what? Let's see what this blue water gonna take us.
I mean, like I said, you gotta put everything in perspective. When Mansa Musa, when his brother, who was king at the time, stepped down from being king in Mali to allow his brother Mansa Musa to rule, so he could go to the other side. You know, they had an established kingdom. You know, that's when you talk about the Mayans, when you talk about the Aztecs, you know, you get confused by the people that you see now that occupy the land. You know, there's so much. When we talk about history, you have to take into consideration migration. Migration is a huge part of it. That's why Egyptians don't look like the original Egyptians now, because of migration. you know, we take whoever's in the land now, oh, that's the people, and we give them all the history, and that's wrongly stated.
Facts, facts. Go ahead, Tut.
Jerome hit the nail on the head. You know, often when we want to look at an area, even when we want to define Mexicans, we look at the Mexican now, they were whitewashed no different. They did it in India, they did it in Africa, they whitewashed it no different, to where they came in and gave their influence and start to change the color of the people that are there. So where you'll think the natives are originally that color, and we know and understand, you know, original man had already circumnavigated the planet years beforehand. And I think Jerome alluded to it earlier, even in Rome, you know, you had the Etruscans who were there, you know what I'm saying? They would be there with their science and their foundations. And when you go even further, you have the Irish who showed their history being from an African pygmy, you know? So the foundations are there. Often we look at the people who are there now and we make an assumption, but when you dig a little deeper and you get into the historical records, there's a paper trail for everything. I know a lot of times that's why they kept us from reading, so we weren't able, excuse me, we weren't able to read and find the paper trail and find all of this evidence. And I think I remember seeing Dr. Ben make a statement before saying, you know, I don't care what your religion is, what your ethnicity is, whatever, you can find it and you can trace it all the way back to Africa. And that's any religion, whatever you got, it came from the motherland.
Facts, facts. But we also have to understand that this doctrine of discovery was used here in America.
Still used in America.
Still used, my bad. You beat me too.
Hey, even in criminal cases, man, you get emotional discovery. Don't ask me how I know.
But no, I mean, but this is serious, and a lot of people need to understand of what is really truly going on, because you have to understand the people that he met were Aquas, Latinos, and Taninos. Now, you have to understand these dudes almost wiped out 3 million plus just because they wanted the resources of that land. 3 million that you just rape, pillage, and kill. And then only that, the bad thing about it is the pedophilia is something that a lot of people don't talk about, because they was giving men, sailors, they was taking back, you know, 9, 10, all between 9 and 14-year-old boys and girls. And it was giving these people, you know, that was like treasure. A lot of dudes, it hasn't stopped. And it became bigger and bigger because the slave trade it was not slave trade I'm looking for, is when you know, the selling sex slaves.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing.
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking. This is a major part of sex trafficking that they did, and they did it out of the Caribbean. They took, I mean, I got daughters, dude, and this just bothers me when you can just break in my house and just take my kids.
Right.
And you can't do, and it's kind of like either you kill me and then you take them, or it's just that was the prize there. You know what I'm saying? And then for him to say they're not smart enough, they're easy to maintain. We were
No.
type of people, man.
Just while you're talking about that, isn't it interesting that what did they call treasure then? Booty. What do we call booty?
I don't call it treasure.
No, I'm talking about, you talking about that's what they took, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm saying that's the translation of it. It's still that.
So for him to bring an armada, must be trying to tell you something. That's kind of like, you know,
Them to wipe you out.
you pull up and you get a couple dudes with you. He was like, yo, let's go check out this area. Oh man, this is what we want. You know, this is what we're gonna camp out here. All right, let's go get the squad. And then you come back with 300 dudes. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And you take land. But he's to Europe. This is where he is that guy because he supposedly brought Western civilization to the forefront here in America. How can you civilize somebody that was already civilized?
Exactly.
How can you civilize somebody that, you know what I'm saying? Go to the beach. Go to the Caribbean island, go to the beach. I guarantee you won't go in there with no sweatshirt on. I guarantee you won't wear no sweatpants out there. What are you going to wear? You're going to wear shorts. Probably going to have your shirt off. Because why? That sun is going to beat you. So when you got people that's coming from a colder climate, that's fully dressed, fully clothed, and they come to an area that you know you don't have to be fully clothed. Now they kind of looking at you like, yo, who is this? These are savages. If you read your Bill of Rights, we consider savages. The Constitution, don't forget, we're 3/5. We're savages. So this whole doctrine of discovery is telling you we're savages if you don't represent them.
You can't represent them because you're not white. And
So-
you got to understand, you know, that they had, once they get colonized over here, that's where manifest destiny come from. You know, it's God's given right for white men to have and rule and dominate the world.
And it's okay.
Of course,
Hey, that's what the Christian religion is for. You know, I think I
Exactly.
spoke about it. I think I spoke about it before. My old boss lady, you know, she asked me one time. She was like, "Tut, can I ask you a personal question?" And I was like, "Sure, go ahead." She was like, "Why are so many black people's Christian?" I said, and she's a history buff. You know, she's a history major. She was like, "Why are so many black people Christian?" And I was like, "Welcome to my world." You know, I'm trying to tell them the truth. And down here, she's like, "Do they not know that Christianity is a slave religion?" And that's the plight that I have, you know, trying to convince people of the histories. You know, if you didn't convert to Christianity, you were killed. And a lot of times, even in the formulation of America, they would bring Jesus to the Native Americans, get them in the church, and burn the church down. So a lot of times, you know, we don't search the histories and we just jump on it, you know, face value. And a lot of our people don't know the histories. And I mean, I speak to some white people and I've, you know, talk to them and throw a little hint of Jesus out, and they'd be like, "We don't believe in that." And it's amazing. More white people are conscious and aware of the histories than there are black people.
So we also have to look at it too. The Declaration of Independence is part of the doctrine of discovery. People need to understand, dude. It was an eye opener for me when I studied it. That the fact is, I'm gonna keep going into it because I probably might need to do a show just on that too, because you would have to understand the importance of this doctrine or this book or whatever, these papers, to let you know how white supremacy become what it becomes and why we still dealing with it 400 or 500 years later. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to break, and they wonder why we so in disarray, why we so combative, or why we so not, you know, this, it has worked. I can say that it has worked. Whoever came up with this damn plan was a damn near genius. I don't even think it, I mean, think about it. Look at it. It controls everything. The Roman Catholic Church controls everything.
well, I mean, you could say it's genius, or it's just was so simple, you know, to maintain. Because once once people believe in a religion and you believe that there's a higher power that guides you, that watches you all the time, the people that run the religion, it's easy to, you know, implement into whatever indoctrination they want. Because why? You're, in your mind, you're thinking about the God that's watching you. And that he told these people that watch over the religion to do these things. So, I mean, it didn't really take a lot of genius when you got people that just blindly follow.
True. So, what to laughing at? Oh, somebody must be in it. But so we got to understand this. And I guess, I mean, we look at Christopher Columbus, we can bash him all we want to, but he was following orders.
Right.
He was following orders. I mean, you got to understand the stronghold that was going on from 711 to 1492. You got to understand they was under a whole different regime. And there was some problems going on. So when we get to these crusades, understanding these crusades has a bigger picture than what a lot of people think it is. The Spanish Inquisition, we have to understand it was a lot of bit bigger than what we think it is, because we tend to not want to open a book and study and find out for ourselves what's behind the picture. So you have to understand this whole transatlantic slave trade. It starts here.
It was designed, you know, and like you say, the doctrine of discovery, you know, it was a legal representation to seize land. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it was a legal justification to seize land from people who weren't Christians.
Right.
So, shit, you come to America, not a soul over here had been introduced to Christianity. So, like in 1492, they say Christopher Columbus discovered America. Hell, that doctrine of discovery, I think that allowed, in 1493, they had one that allowed Christian European explorers to claim lands and waterways and say that they discovered it. So that's what promoted their Christian dominance and superiority. And, you know, so Christopher Columbus, you know, or any other explorers, no, they weren't going to be criminalized for this. They were actually sent with this on their agenda.
Exactly.
Because you got to understand, though, what's coming out of Europe that we use. Europe don't make money like you think it is.
Salt, that's it. Romans specialized in salt. Salt was a form of payment that the Romans used. So they were very heavy in salt. But other than that, didn't too much come out of Europe other than cutting down timber. That's why they have a lot of flatlands in Europe. And then they brought that over here to America, started cutting down a lot of the timber and stuff over here.
They cut trees down like it ain't shit.
Yeah. Hemp is a stronger and more durable use to make paper and clothing and everything. But hemp wasn't as profitable because it's reusable and durable. Paper, you know, trash it, you know what I'm saying? They try to recycle now, but initially, you know, that paper was more profitable because once they cut you something, you're going to need it again.
So this is, and I think that's why we bring in, you know, the facts that we come up with. I got 2 books that I will tell anybody that they need to. You want to get some information? Get it from these books. You got. I know Jerome got this one.
Oh, yeah.
It's Dr. Henry Clark right here. John Henry Clark. This is Columbus, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. And this is one of my favorites. This is right here. This is where it's at right here. So you read these 2 books, and I tell you what, you'll start understanding where we're coming from when we're talking about this. So Christopher Columbus is a nobody to us. Uh-oh.
Hey, yo, I just read something in the, I just pulled up the Doctrine of Discovery here. I'm looking at the 1493 one. And I'm going to read something off here. And this puts a golden star on Christopher Columbus's hat and y'all can't say he did shit wrong because it was legally gave to him. But the people who suffer from him, we know it's messed up. All right, look, this is what it says. If an explorer proclaims to have discovered the land in the name of a Christian European monarch, plants a flag in its soil, and reports his discovery to the European rulers, and then returns to occupy it, that land is now his, even if someone else was there first.
Right.
Now everybody see when you go somewhere, you try to put your flag down first, so you can
Right,
claim it because of this doctrine.
Right.
right. And say, should the original occupants insist on claiming that the land is theirs, the discoverer can label the occupant's way of being on the land inadequate according to European standards. So they would come and take your land, put the flag on it, send the information to the European rulers, claim it, which is listed as a discovery. And if you had any say-so on disputing them taking your land, they'll say, oh, we're going to take it because we don't feel like you're meeting the European standard, which the European standard was only elevated after the Moors came in and gave them the Spanish Renaissance. So the original European level of living was low until the Spanish Renaissance. And once they got this higher self-efficacy, then they went on out and tried to say, well, we're the superior way of living. And they even tried to, still to this day, make us assimilate into their way of living. I think Charles Manson, I'm going to paraphrase his quote. He was like, you ain't got the black man out the jungle. You know what I'm saying? He was a god in the jungle. You know what I mean? You ain't got him out the jungle and try to dress him up and wear suits like you, make you assimilate into their culture. You know, let that man be God, you know. Charles Manson said that, you know. So, I mean, we don't want to label Charles Manson as one of the greatest intellects, but truth is as it is, you know, regardless of where it comes from.
Everybody knows it except us. Nobody wants to believe it. Because why we don't want to believe it? Because you be like, where you get that information from? Or I just showed you two starting points. And I guarantee you, once you start, you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop. I mean, if I had Willa on here, Willa probably throw out like 20 damn books at you. They let you know how many books is telling you. You just got to open your mind and read, man. And take the time out just to even, you have to knock down a lot of stuff within yourself. Because what happened is we are taught, or we're indoctrinated because of the schooling, because of, you know, our parents. I mean, our parents and our grandparents, you know, they looked at, you know, running to church as a, you know, a form of, you know, mission. But we have to understand this is forced on us. Anybody can say what you can say about Islam, but at the same time, Islam has not did this much damage. They don't.
Oh, wait a minute, B. Oh, brother, wait a minute. No, Islam did some damage.
No. I didn't say they haven't. I said it's
okay.
much. It's much. Think about it. These dudes has wiped out. They wiped out Haiti, or Expiolo. They wiped out Australia. Damn, they did. They demolished Australia. They whitewashed Brazil. They literally whitewashed America. I mean, my bad, the United States Corporation. I mean, everywhere they go, they literally wipe it out.
Islam was doing that no different, you know. Islam attacked Hinduism in India real heavy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
true. I'm not saying
look at present day Africa. Present day Africa.
True indeed.
Ruined because of it.
True indeed.
They kind of started the slave trade, or I mean, you know, the Islamic slave trade from South Africa to North Africa. So I'm not religion, period. How about that?
Abrahamic religions.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all your religions right there.
Nah, you got a whole lot of religions, bro. The Abrahamic religions only cover 3 of them: Muslim, Jewish, and
Which
Christian.
one you telling me I need to? Which one you telling me I need to be a part of?
Actually, you don't need to be part of none of them 3. you on one of them 3. Abraham gonna have you ass backwards, but you had a numerous of religions, you know, beforehand. Man, you had Mithraism, you had Zoroastrianism. I might be pronouncing, you know, I'm from the South, you know, my pronunciation isn't as articulate as some of you northern people. You had many belief systems. Hell, even Hinduism is far older. You know what I'm saying? Than Islam. You know, Islam just came into effect right after Prophet Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? And even before then, you know, you had certain ways of living that were similar to Islam, but Islam didn't branch off out of the 3 Jewish sects. You had your Pharisees, Sadducees, and Essenes. Your Essenes migrated to an area called Qumran, and their way of thinking and their way of living, which is founded in what you have the Quran now.
There it is. Facts.
Yeah.
So, if you got any questions, because I know a lot of people got questions, but at the same time, we're trying to give you information. This is what we do. I mean, I know we're doing it on an off day, but at the same time, we did not celebrate Christopher Columbus Day. I don't even know. I'm glad. I asked my kid. I'm just glad that people are starting to recognize who he was. But at the same time, you have to understand why he was able to do that and get away with it. The reason why he was going to jail, because the dude was literally, he was doing some shady shit. And he had this doctrine, but at the same time, that dude was trying to put a ton of money in his pocket. So you got to understand, you know, when you go to England or when you go to all these countries and say, yo, I need help, just give me money to, you know, set sail because I'm going to find this new land. Dude was doing it for how many years before he actually was able to do it? They said he was doing it for 20 years, lobbying, trying to get people to believe in this picture. So it ain't like he just happened to say, hey, I'm going to go east this time.
Right.
You knew what the hell you was doing. You knew exactly where you was going. You didn't think it was going to be as easy. Because, again, we're of a people, we're spiritual people. We're not quick to fight you. We quick to let you in, and then, I mean, if you get us once, you get us once. But at the same time, take them guns away and see what happened. It would never went down the way it did. It would never. Oh, man.
Yeah, I be.
Oh, dude, I had my computer. I didn't have the computer plugged up. It was about to down me like it did the other day. There we go. We got charged now. I was wondering why it was dimming out on me. But
call the police.
No, you got. I got that. Nah, that 45 and it makes a lot of noise. So anybody else want to add on to this? Nobody. This you know, you can say you can't say he's a thief. I mean because he did exactly what he did. Now I can say he was a rapist. Maybe I can give him that, you know. But at the same time, he did his job.
Right.
And people have to understand that. So if you do the studies, please do the doctrine of discoveries and study that. Please, because if you do, you have a different, you can understand why he did it, because it's kind of like you know, I know me and Jerome been in the military. If you give us orders to go do this, we're going to go do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We do it all the time. Our country, especially our country, we will go into a country and what we do, we take it. We put our footprint in there.
We still do it.
To this day, because of this doctrine. This doctrine ain't died. It's like a code. It's like a secret code now. So I don't know. Anything else you want to add to this BS that we've been learning?
Nah, man.
Because I mean, it hurts. It hurt our people here in America. It
Right.
literally destroyed our people here in America because of this. You know, I mean, think about it. You have all this the Indian Removal Act. Why is that Indian? Wait a minute. So you telling me it was okay for them to do it? Now you know why they did it. I didn't know. I didn't understand it until now. I'm like, oh wow. See what happened when you do some research and study? You find out, man.
And you understand the concentration camps that they had in the United States, where they held black people, or so-called black people.
Indigenous. Go ahead and say indigenous, man.
Well, if I say indigenous, just so you can have a clear understanding of the people themselves. But there were concentration camps well before Hitler had his. There were a lot of people exterminated in the United States that looked a lot like me and you.
And they would take our kids and make them go to school, Catholic school, and learn, the Bible and the ways to speak English. In other words, they was literally eliminating your language, because if you attack the kids, take them out of the culture, they will never learn. That's why we in school for 14 years. Because in an indoctrination, I have to get you out of the culture that you in, and I need to initiate you into my culture.
Right.
So
I mean,
we just have to understand we have to.
that happened 100 years ago. This is just redundancy. We don't know what our culture is. We wouldn't believe what our culture was if I told you.
So understand. Do your research, Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, whatever the fuck. He ain't nobody. And understanding the last stronghold of Granada in 1491, December 1491. So for them to push out the last more, it's kind of like, oh shit, we strong enough to get these dudes out of here.
Right.
Let's see what else we can do. So Christopher Columbus was not the first one to explore. He was just the first one to come back and brag about what he found.
Right.
So again, these discoveries, these doctrinal discoveries, is from 1451 to 1506. And I tell you what, shit is deep. It is deep. Very, very. I'm telling you, make you stop being a Christian.
I doubt that.
You know what? You're right. Hello, what the hell, Tut? We're gonna shut it down, Tut. We're gonna close these doors on you. But go ahead and get your last word in, man. Go ahead and break this down.
Now, I'll finish with Christopher Columbus was sent on a mission to carry out the extermination of indigenous people, to take their land, to inhabit their land for Spain. This was the beginning of the conquering or the conquest of this world on this side, this hemisphere. But it wasn't, well, it was that, and this was the beginning of white supremacy for what we have here in this hemisphere. I'll leave it at that.
Western civilization is white supremacy.
Of course.
That's all it in a nutshell. Let me just put it in. It's Western civilization. We're civilizing you. You didn't civilize us. You just indoctrinated us into your shit.
True indeed.
So I guess we're just gonna have to wrap it up. Brother Tut is gonna have to understand. He is at work, and I mean, he is taking time out to be with us, which I appreciate it 139.5%. So, uh, again, I will appreciate y'all being on. Appreciate the people who take the time out to watch. I know this is a lot shorter than what we normally do, but we ain't talking about nobody.
True.
Like we needed to break down facts for you. We need to break down so you can understand why, you know, we gave you the reason why. So we keep looking at the figure, but you got the, it's kind of like when you see, you always find a bad guy and you don't understand the background of that bad guy or why that bad guy did what he did. And
So
there you go.
what are some of the things people need to look up?
People need to, for me, the doctrines of discoveries. I would tell them to study um, the Moorish movement because you have to understand the Moorish movement was this whole Spanish Inquisition was a kickback. It's kind of like when you seen Obama in 8 years and all of a sudden Trump come in at the same time. It's a kickback towards what's going on, and we have to erase that. You cannot erase who we are. It's just something that we just have to understand. But I do tell anybody, if you study that doctrine, come holler at me, and then we can talk. But
All of the papal bulls that were written in the 1400s. If you want to get a full view.
Tut, we're gonna shut it down, Tut, because we ain't got no more to talk about this dude. So what stuff would you tell them to study to understand what we're talking about?
Man, you go in such a deep subject when you want to find out. First of all, I would say start with the Council of Nicaea.
Oh, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that one.
Yeah. I would say start with the Council of Nicaea and
325 AD.
325 AD, and then you can see the Jesus Creed, and you can see the foundation of Christianity and how Constantine used people's belief system in order to gain favor with, the unanimous people, with, a group of people. And they pushed this agenda.
Now, don't we?
Excuse me?
We see the same shit happening now.
Right. So that's why I would say start there, because it's going to be a tidal wave of repetition after that. You know what I mean? Basically, people just using laws in their favor based off of Christian doctrine that was founded in 325 AD in the Creed of Nicaea, and all of this belief of Jesus as God's only son. And that's one book I want to get into is the Bible of the Adversary. That's one book I want to get into, because a lot of people, we look at Lucifer as the devil. Coming from a Christian religion, we look at Lucifer as the devil, and the Catholic religion labels Lucifer as the light giver, which means Lucifer means the bringer of light. And so oftentimes people have the confusion with the gods they believe in. So the Bible of the Adversary, I request some people to dive into that so you can see Lucifer's point of view and how he says he's the giver of light and the truth giver. And actually, this Bible, this God you're believing in the Bible, he has killed more people than Lucifer ever did. I mean, the Bible and the God of the Bible has killed more people. There is no proof in the Bible that Lucifer killed anybody. So, I mean, I just want to say, look at that. Maybe y'all worshiping the devil and you don't know it.
King Tut spoken. The testament of King Tut. But I feel you on that, sir. I feel you on that. Maybe everybody maybe saying maybe everything is opposite of what we think. It's upside down. I mean, we already look at the map upside down.
Right.
Ooh, that's another one that a lot of people don't understand. Basically, we're in South America, but we keep saying in North America because the Europeans saying that we was looking at it upside down.
Who said North had to be on top?
Right. I was just going to say that, Jerome. You counting them cataracts, you know what I'm talking about?
All right, y'all. We're going to get out of here. So you be good at do your thing, you know, I'm the J.O.D. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's the three-headed monster dropping its science on you. And again, you got any questions? Bring it to us. We'll answer them. I mean, if not, we're going to point the book to your direction. So, the testament of King. Oh, somebody got that backlog coming on.
That was me.
So, again, y'all, this is a three-headed monster. Peace out.
Peace.